I'm back again to talk about a little more division. This time we're going to do a review of a couple of old benchmarks in preparation for the scrimmage we're about to take. We're going to go back and look at benchmark 1 and some of the questions and problems that came with it. On question 1 it says, the new poetry book by Mel Goldstein is 348 pages of humorous poems. Lily set a goal to read the entire book in 24 days. She planned to read 14 pages a day. With this plan, will she reach her goal? Explain why or why not. So we're going to look at the total number of pages that she needs to read, which is 348. We're going to divide that by the number of pages a day. So we're going to put a 14 on the outside as our divisor. We're going to look and realize that 14 will fit into 34 two times. Mr. Henrich, how in the world did you figure that out? Well, it's real simple. I can look and write down all of my multiples off to the side. 14 times 1 is 14. 14 times 2 is 28. 14 times 3 is 3 times 4 is 12. Carry the 1, 3, 42. Well, right there, I went too far. I've got too many there, so I know that 14 times 2 being 28 is as close as I can make it. So I'm going to put my 28 down below, and I'm going to subtract. Do my regrouping. 14 minus 8 is 6. 2 minus 2 is 0. Then I'm going to bring down my next number, which is an 8. So now we're looking at 68 as the number we're trying to get as close to without going over as possible. Now I've already done a little work off to the side, and I know that 14 times 3 is 42. I'm wondering if I can get a little closer. So let's do 14 times 4. Well, 4 times 4 is 6. I'm going to carry the 1. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5 for 56. Well, there's still a little room left, but I realized by looking that 68 minus 56 is only going to be 12, so again, this is as far as I can go. So I'm going to put my 4 on top because that's what I multiplied by to get 56. So 14 times 4, 56. I'm going to put it down here. And again, I'm going to subtract. 8 minus 6 is 2. 6 minus 5 is 1. I have 12 left over. So going back to our question, with this plan, will she reach her goal? Why or why not? Okay. So what it's saying is that if she reads 14 pages per day, it's going to take her 24 days to get as far as she does, but she's still going to have 12 pages to go. So the answer, no. She will not reach her goal. She will still have 12 pages left. And there's your answer. Moving on to question 2. We have 1,728 divided by 68. Now, we use the multiples on the side over here because 14 is a fairly easy number to be able to do that with. A number like 68 is going to be a little more difficult, but let's go ahead and set up our problem and see what it looks like when we get everything put in place. So I have 1,728. I divide it by 68. And I'm going to realize that I cannot divide 1 by 68, so I'm going to look at 17. Again, 17 is still smaller than 68, so that doesn't work. So we're up to 172. Holy cow, that's a whole lot of numbers. So let's use a little estimation skill. 68 is pretty close to 70, right? So if we put 70 off to the side over here times 1, that equals 70. 70 times 2 is 140. 70 times 3 is going to be 210. Oh, too big. So I'm going to estimate that 68 is going to fit in 172 two times. Now look, again, I'm working with 172. The last digit I'm working with is this 2, so my quotient begins above that. Now I'm going to come back and I'm going to do my multiplication. 2 times 8 is 16. Regroup my 1. 2 times 6 is 12, plus 1 more is 13. Then I'm going to subtract. Well, 2 minus 6 doesn't work, so I need to do my regrouping. 12 minus 6 is 6. 6 minus 3 is 3. So I figured out that I had 36 left over. Again, not enough to cover the whole 68. So I'm going to bring down my next number, which is an 8. And we're going to come back over here and we're going to look at the estimation and multiples that I did already. I got all the way up to 210. There's still a whole lot of room to go in there, so let's go one more. 70 times 4 is going to be 280, or 70 times 5 is 350. Got 7 times 5 is 35. I still have a 0 to work with, therefore that's how I got my 350. Well, I'm going to look and realize that that's fairly close right out of the gate. So I'm going to put 350 over here, and I multiplied by 5. So I'm going to put my 5 on top. I'm going to subtract. 8 minus 0 is 0, 6 minus 5 is 1, 3 minus 3 is 0. I have 18 left over. I have no other numbers left to put out here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this as my remainder. Now, instead of writing the old school 25 or 18 like you did in 3rd and 4th grade, we're going to do this like 5th graders. We're going to write 25 and then we're going to write 18 as a remainder over 68, because that's a 5th grade way of solving and putting your answer as a problem, or as putting this as your answer. Now, to go back and check your work, we're going to multiply the opposite way. So we're going to take and we're going to multiply our quotient times our divisor. So in this case, we're going to have 68 times 25. And you can do this using the area model fairly easily. So I'll put my box in here. I realize that I have 2 digits for my top number, and I have 2 digits for my bottom number. So I have 60, 8, I have 20, and 5. 2 times 6 is 12, and I have 2 zeros. Then I have 20 times 8, so 2 times 8 is 16. I have 1 0. 5 times 6 is 30, and I'm still working with 1 0. And 5 times 8 is 40. Now, all I need to do is add these up, right? So I have 1,200, I have 300, I have 160, and I have 40. And we're going to add. So I have all these zeros, which is 0. 6 plus 4 is 10. I regroup my 1. 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 3 more is 6, plus 1 more is 7. And then I have 1 there. So I have 1,700. Wait a second. That doesn't quite work, does it? So then I need to turn around and add my remainder in. So I'm going to add 18 to it. Well, 0 plus 8 is 8. 0 plus 1 is 1. I have 7 and 1. Now, if I've done everything correctly, I'm going to realize that this number should be the same as this number. Uh-oh, I got a problem. Something didn't come out quite right, did it? Because I have 1,718 here versus 1,728 here. So now I need to go back and see if we can figure out where we made our mistake. So we started out with, oh, you know what? I see it, because I put 70 times 5 is 350. So when I put my 5 up here and multiplied, I used my estimation, not my actual number. So this right here is wrong, which is going to make that wrong as well. So let's go back and fix this. We have 5 times 8, which is 40. I'm going to regroup my 4. I have 5 times 6, which is 30, plus 4. So it's 34. Uh-oh. If you look there, there's a whole 10 in difference. So if we subtract 368 by 340, I have 8 minus 0 is 8. 6 minus 4 is 2. So my remainder actually should have been 28. Well, when I come back down here, all my multiplication is right here, but I'm going to change this to 28 from 18, and guess what? Boom. We're right back to square one. Now I know I have the correct answer of 25, remainder 28, or 25 and 28 68ths. Looking at problem 3. This one's a little bit tough because you're talking about looking at the area model, which we're so used to doing multiplication with. We need to know the length of this side, which is why they have a question mark here, and they give us this side of 32 meters. The other thing they give us is that our total area is 3,392 square meters. So we're going to take our total and we're going to divide it by the side that we know. We're going to divide it by 32. Well, looking at this problem, I see that I'm dividing 33 by 32, and I realize that that can only fit once because there's only a difference of 1 in these two numbers. So I'm going to put 32 under here, and I'm going to subtract. I have 1 left over. I'm going to bring down my next number for help to see if I can divide again. In this case, I only have 19. Well, if this number is smaller than this one, I can't not divide it. I have to put a 0 up here stating that I could not do it, and I have to find some more help. Now, I'm looking at 192 divided by 32. There's a couple of ways we can look at this. We can go back and we can use estimation, or we can write our multiples off to the side. There's another little trick that might be helpful for some. I can come in and I can cover up this 2 with one finger, and I can cover up this 2 with the other finger. Well, can anybody do 19 divided by 3? Sure, that's not too bad. How many times will 3 fit into 19? Well, if you think about your multiples, 3 times 6 is 18, so let's give that a shot. So we're going to put a 6 up here, and we're going to multiply and see what happens. We're going to do a little bit of guess and check. 6 times 2 is 12. I'm going to carry my 1 over. I have 6 times 3 for 18, plus 1 more is 19. Holy moly, look at that. It came out to be almost perfect. So now, what is the length of my side? Well, it's my quotient right here. It is 106, and then we're going to go back to the question and realize that our measurement is in meters. We don't want to forget to put that on there. It could be wrong. Now, the last part of this says explain how you found your answer. Okay? I divided my total area by the length of one side. And that's how I found it. Now, going on to question 4. It says Dayon was presented the following equation. Something times 4 equals 360. What is the missing number in Dayon's equation? Show your work in the space below. Okay, so we have something times 4 equals 360. Okay, well, let's break this down into a problem that we think we might be able to handle. Alright, so looking at the numbers we have, we know that 36 is a multiple of 4. How do we know that? Well, if I remember right, 9 times 4 equals 36, does it not? So if we think about it that way, and we're trying to get to 360, then we realize that the only difference between 36 and 360 is multiplying by 10. Well, if we come over here and apply the same concept here, if we have 9 times 10, then what could we possibly have over here? Well, 9 times 10 equals 90. Therefore, I'm going to assume that 90 times 4 equals 360. Well, let's work this backwards and see if it works. If we're going to talk about using the inverse operation in division, we're going to have 360. We can divide it by the number that we know, which is 4. Okay, so we're going to put the 4 on the outside. Well, 4 goes into 36 9 times. Therefore, when we multiply it, 9 times 4 is 36. I don't have anything left over out of that. I bring down my helper. Well, it's a 0. So I still have nothing I can do. I'm going to put a 0 up here saying that there's nothing I can do. And guess what? I just verified that 90 times 4 equals 360 by doing the inverse operation.